like everything, we need to be able to have an organizational system at home that will help us keep AAC in the forefront of our mind to be able to help our child as much as possible. So in order to do this, we definitely need to divide up responsibilities. If you are in a home with multiple adults or older children, then you can divide up who's going to be in charge of what different things to help your child who uses AAC get the most out of their system. So some things to write down and really consider are, who's going to be in charge of charging the device every night? Who is going to be in charge of modeling on the device in the morning? So maybe you assign mom to that task. In the morning, mom's going to help with modeling, showing words on the device and learning it herself. Who's going to be in charge in the afternoon? Maybe a sibling will be in charge in the afternoon. And then who's going to be in charge in the evening? Maybe dad or grandma or some other relative can be in charge of the evening. It's a lot to put all of this on one person, so I highly recommend that you divide up the tasks and make it as fun as possible. You're also going to need to know who's in charge of editing, maintenance, and adding new words. Some families choose to do this on their own. However, I would strongly recommend that if you choose to do this on your own, you do it in consultation with your speech-language pathologist. And the reason is that families may not know this, but there's a lot of background thought behind a lot of the language systems. So when you start changing a language system, not just adding words is usually fine, but when you start making changes, it can have consequences in other parts of the language system. The other thing to keep in mind is maybe the language system is something that multiple children in your child's class are using, right? So in that case, we want a lot of it to look the same so that the teachers are able to model very quickly on everyone's devices. Of course, your child will need customization to make it their own with their own personal vocabulary, but we want to keep the core things and the logic behind why it was set up that way the same as it started. Okay. Now I have some weekly challenges for you and your family to do. I've set this up as hopefully a fun way to get some practice in with your family and be able to share that with your speech pathologist or your special education teacher. So here's how I broke it up. You don't have to do it in this order. This is just what I put down as a recommendation. Day 1, you're going to introduce some activity. You're going to decide on which activity you're going to introduce. So you can go into the workbook and choose one of the activities mentioned there, cooking, reading, bath time, or you can choose something else. So day 1, write down what that activity is. Day 2, you're going to find and model at least 5 words that have to do with that activity that are on the communication device. Day 3, you're going to add. So you had 5. Now you're going to make sure you model at least 10 words during that activity. Point to them, say the name, expand on them, etc. Day 4, here's where you're going to be modeling some comments. So now you're not just modeling individual words, you're actually going to put maybe short phrases together. Like during the activity, you might say, "That's silly," or "I like it." Those are great comments that you can model. Day 5, you're going to ask at least 3 open-ended questions during the activities. Things like, where should we go? And you would model there where and go. Or what do you want? Open-ended things where your child has a variety of things that they can choose the answer from. On day 6, let's practice some protests, right? They're an important part of life. So we can practice modeling things like stop, different, no more, finished, all done. Things like that are all great protests to be practicing with your child. And then on day 7, observe, sit back, see what your kid is doing during that activity when they have maybe a little bit less support. Are they initiating anything? And if so, write it down. If they're not initiating, what are the kinds of activities that you want to try for the next week? Something that maybe would engage them a little bit more. So you have 1, I think you have 3 weekly challenges built in here to practice with your family, maybe 4. And then finally, our last page of our AAC at home is about the fact that we want to be able to use our AAC system everywhere, here, there, everywhere, right? So some locations that you might be looking at regarding your child's AAC is, besides home, a relative's house, a playground, a restaurant, or a store. So go through some of the most common places that your family likes to go and write down what are some words that your child can be learning when they're in those locations. So at a playground, maybe you want to be teaching them word play, the word down, the word come, the word fun, right? Those might be great things to be practicing at a playground. When you're at a restaurant, maybe you want to be practicing words like eat, finished, more, right? Those are some core words. And then maybe you want to have some very specifics for that restaurant. If your kid loves going to McDonald's, then maybe you need to have in there their favorite foods at McDonald's so that they can help order. Want cheeseburger, right? How powerful for your kid to be able to order their own food when they get to their favorite restaurant. I hope that that's helpful. I hope you're working together side by side with your speech pathologist to get the most out of this workbook and out of their AAC system. Please reach out for help when you need it. This is just supposed to be the beginning of an exciting adventure into communication. I'm so proud of you and the way that you are investing in your child. And I am so proud of your child, the way that they are going to have more opportunities to communicate and really let the world know more about them and who they are and what is going on in their heads. You can feel free to reach out to me if you need to, but make sure that you are tapping into the team, whether it be a school-based team or a hospital-based team that is supporting your child. Thank you.